Hey guys, it's November. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. We start thinking, hey, what are we thankful for? And we start thinking, hey, what are some of the things in my life, some of the things that God's blessed me with? And so, thinking about that and the attitude of Thanksgiving, I wanted to share with you guys a little bit about my calling into youth ministry. My senior year of high school, I had already felt called by then into full time youth ministry. In fact, I even knew that God was calling me in the direction of going to Liberty University to study youth ministry. I fought with him, though, on the aspect of doing it my way compared to his way. My way was graduate high school, work a year, then go to college. Over that summer after I graduated, two major events impacted my decision. One was Creation East. Creation's a big Christian music festival in Pennsylvania. And during my time there, I looked around and saw thousands of teens worshiping God. And I knew that that was what I was called to do, was to minister to teenagers. Later that summer, I went on a youth missions trip to Mexico. During that time, I realized that I needed to follow God in the direction that He wanted me to go. There were quite a few experiences, and for me to share all the things that happened in Mexico would take a long time to share. But when I came back from that trip, Liberty started in about 3 weeks, so I loaded everything up in my car and drove down with an acceptance letter. I didn't have a room. I didn't have classes set up. I didn't have financial aid, didn't have food. I just showed up at Liberty University, which was 2 states away from where I grew up. And during that time, I met a young man there who was going through the same thing that I was going through. He didn't know how he's going to pay for 4 years of college. And so we became friends in line. I don't remember what line it was, whether it was for classes or a line to get a dormitory. But we had built a relationship. And over the next week, I was able to get into a dormitory. I was able to get food, I was able to get classes, I was able to start to get my financial aid, my parent loans, my student loans, and all that taken care of. And I was thankful. I was at Liberty University, not sure if I was only going 1 year or if God would be faithful to bless me in going. And my attitude was great. And then something happened. I ran into that guy again. And he shared with me that he went through the same process I did, but he was going to have to go home because he couldn't afford Liberty University and some of the stuff that it took to go through 4 years of college. And so we went on through some time, and I ran into him yet another time. And this time he shared an amazing story how a financial aid person had heard his story and went and talked to the chancellor of our university, Jerry Falwell, and Jerry gave him scholarship for all 4 years that he didn't have to pay a dime. At first, I was like super excited. I was like, wow, that's great, man. And then I sat there and I started changing my attitude. I was thinking, man, why wasn't that me? I followed God's calling, even went His direction. Came down here with basically everything in my car, didn't know what I was doing, and I was thankful for being here. But why, God? Why didn't you do something like that for me? And so my attitude quickly changed. It went from a thankfulness of finding a room and food and getting in classes and starting my education to, oh man, God, why couldn't you did that? Now looking back, I know that answer. I would go on to be at Liberty University in the next 6 years. No, it did not take me 6 years to finish my first 4 year program. I got a undergrad as well as a master degree. I worked my life away. I worked every break, winter, fall, spring, summer. I worked 80, 90 hours some weeks just to make it through. I got on the Liberty baseball team and they were able to pay me some scholarship money, which helped me stay into it. And I walked away graduating with 2 degrees and $17,500 in debt. Yeah, I mean, it would have been great that on graduation day, if God would have just sent someone along with a silver platter of $17,500 and just handed it to me so that I could pay off my student loans. But he didn't do that. And so I had to keep working diligently. In fact, over the next 3 years, I was able to successfully pay that $17,500 off and become debt free. And so looking at my life, my call to ministry, my schooling, and the things that I've gone through with my walk with Jesus, I am thankful. Yes, I've had some times where my attitude wasn't the greatest, where I was like, God, man, why could I be like that other guy who got a full ride to Liberty University? Or, God, why didn't you just send somebody along and give me that cash? And I believe that He did it for the purpose of where I'm at today. There's a lot of things that I learned out of my time there at Liberty University. I learned how to rely on God. I learned in those times where I wasn't sure where the money was coming to pay my rent that I really trusted and I had faith in God. And so I learned that. I also learned how to be a great worker. I was a hard worker because I was working all my breaks away, and even after I graduated, I was working super hard to pay off those student loans and make sure that I didn't pay a lot on interest. And so I learned how to be a hard worker. And also, yeah, it would have been easy for God to show up and give me that silver plate of $17,500. But I learned how to money manage, not only during those 6 years at Liberty University, but even in the 3 years after, so that I could pay off my loans. I mean, I believe that I'm a very good person when it comes to finances now, and I learned that because of some of the stuff that I had to go through with schooling. Not only was I able to pay off my student loans, but I was able to become debt free. I'm not saying that I'm debt free today with my family. I have a car that I'm paying off right now, but my finances are a lot better because God took me through a process and showed me different things, and for that, I'm thankful for it. I have a great attitude because I learned how to trust God more. I learned how to manage my money. I learned how to be a hard worker. And so, as you come upon Thanksgiving, and not just Thanksgiving, but any time during the year, and you start to reflect on where God is taking you, where God has brought you from, your attitude is super important, not only to those around you, but also to your lifestyle and who you are going to be in Christ. So I encourage you, as Thanksgiving is right around the corner, to be thankful for family, to be thankful for the things God puts you through, to be thankful that God will see you through times of need, and God also has better plans than that you can imagine.